Hey everybody, Matt Johnson here from Marathon of History, and today on the Marathon of History Masterpiece Theater, we are going to talk about winter camouflage, specifically winter camouflage on our brand new M4 Sherman tank model, which is available at marathonofhistory.ca. Today I'm going to just show you, using very inexpensive craft store paint, how to apply a winter whitewash camouflage scheme to our brand new M4 Sherman. And we're going to add a few other little details along the way to customize it, and you can follow along and make your model very unique to you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do to turn your Marathon of History standard green Sherman into a special edition, if you will, wintertime camouflage Sherman, is we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually paint all these, the black around all these wheels, around the bogey wheels here. So it's, you don't have to do that, but I'm going to do that just to start off. When painting these road wheels, don't worry about getting it too perfect around the outside, because we're actually going to drop a pretty heavy black wash into these wheels. So just sort of get it around the outside a little bit there and just do your best. Now that we've got these bogey wheels painted all around, we're going to go ahead and apply a pretty heavy black wash all in behind the wheels, all in behind the running gear. That's going to give the tank model a little bit of depth. In real life there would be a shadow there. You wouldn't see too much detail back there. So we're going to go ahead and to do a wash, just put a pretty liberal amount of water on your brush and a little bit of paint. And it is literally what it says, just wash it on. Just sort of spread the watery paint, if you will, around, and don't let it pool too much in one spot. And if it starts to get a little too thick, add just a little more water. So because we're going to be doing a winter camouflage, I'm going to add a bit more of a black wash to some of the features of the body of the tank. So around here, we're just going to soak a bit of really watered down black paint in there. We just want to, again, just give a little bit of depth to some of the body detail on your 148th Marathon of History Sherman tank. Then with the turret, we're going to do the exact same thing we did with the hull. Again, just take a little bit of watered down black paint. We're just going to sort of paint around all the details. Just let it flow in. It'll flow sort of naturally where it goes and really kind of pick out some of those features. So because our tank's going to be a wintertime model, we're going to have a little bit of a look here at the tracks, because obviously in the wintertime the tracks are going to get a lot more rusty and dirty and generally grimy than they would in the summertime. So I'm not a big fan of models with incredibly rusty tracks, because if you look around at hi-hos and pieces of construction equipment, their tracks aren't brown with rust. Like, they're fairly shiny if they're being used, and these tanks are being used. So, but having said that, if we're going to paint some pretty rusty tracks, we're going to start off with a pretty heavy coat of brown, and for that I'm going to use a pretty wide brush. We're going to use this color here called Espresso, and I'm going to paint some brown on these tracks. That's just going to give us a starting point. That's not how they're going to end. Alright, so we've got our tank. We have the tracks sort of pre-browned here. We have a nice wash over everything to pick out some details. So basically we have got ourselves a really nice starting point here. And now comes sort of the fun part with this winter camouflage. Time to apply the snow, if you will. So we're going to use this, again, pretty affordable craft store white paint. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix a fair bit of this white paint with quite a bit of water to create essentially a whitewash, and then that's what we're going to apply all over the tank, basically simulating what was actually done in the field with basically whitewashing the vehicle. And it wasn't always perfect, so we're going to try to replicate that not perfectness of it. Another thing I should point out here is we're actually going to start with our whitewash right on the top of the tank, and we're going to work our way from top to bottom, because as you're going to see later, when we add a bit more weathering to the bottom, it's going to really add to it. So we're going to start with our whitewash there and take it sort of down the sides of the tank. If the paint seems a little too heavy, just add a bit more water, and that will further thin it down. Okay, so as you can see, we have the wash going on. So far I have a fairly light wash, and you can see it sort of pools in places just like washes do. Just sort of keep the paint moving, and then just add more paint depending on how intense you want the wash. So hey, if we're modeling a vehicle from maybe April here, maybe a lot of the white wash is worn off and the green's mostly showing through. Or if we want to model a vehicle from, having some really fresh camouflage white paint on it, then we're just going to keep adding paint with water until we get that consistency or that look that we generally want. And that's going to vary from individual to individual. I'm going to go with about a mid-level camouflage on my M4 Sherman from marathonofhistory.ca store. Alrighty, so while your wet paint, actually your black wash, your brown wash, all of this paint's still a little bit wet, and this is a less than an hour paint job tutorial. So what we're going to do now is actually take and we're going to start applying some washes of different earth tones to the bottom, and to achieve that we're going to use our brown here. We might use a bit of our gray, and we're just going to go with differing layers of just some earthy tones along the bottom, because obviously these things would have kicked up a lot of dust and mud and whatnot going down the roads. So again, we're going to use a pretty broad brush, if you will, and apply light coats, and to sort of get the consistency that we're after, or that whatever you're after. So I'm just kind of blend that into the white. And if it's a little bit too brown, if you will, if you don't want it quite that dirty, it's pretty simple. Just add some more white back in, and just sort of keep playing with that mix until you get the amount of weathering that you want on your tank. Alrighty, so while your wet paint, actually your black wash, your brown wash, all of this paint's still a little bit wet, and this is a less than an hour paint job tutorial. So what we're going to do now is actually take and we're going to start applying some washes of different earth tones to the bottom, and to achieve that we're going to use our brown here. We might use a bit of our gray, and we're just going to go with differing layers of just some earthy tones along the bottom, because obviously these things would have kicked up a lot of dust and mud and whatnot going down the roads. So again, we're going to use a pretty broad brush, if you will, and apply light coats, and to sort of get the consistency that we're after, or that whatever you're after. So when you think of applying sort of this brown winter weathering, if you will, just think of your street car and sort of how it looks after driving down paved roads. So I think these things are out on some dirt tracks and going through fields, so you definitely want to apply the darker colors more near the track, and then lighter colors as it goes up, because your mud and whatnot is going to stay fairly low, but then it's going to spray up. There's going to be more dust and stuff. So again, these tanks were never clean. I don't think I've ever seen a clean tank, so the world's your oyster here. So we've let our Sherman tank dry here for a few minutes, just sort of letting all the washes settle on it, and I'm pretty happy with sort of how this looks. This is what I wanted, a white, but definitely a faded white look. So now what we're going to do is, when you put your white wash on, perhaps along some of this running gear, some of the white sort of leaked onto the edges of the wheels and whatnot. We're going to repaint those black now, and then we're going to continue to sort of weather the bottom of this tank. Okay, so now that our tank is pretty much painted, I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with it here. And you see a lot of photos of Second World War tanks, Allied tanks, absolutely loaded with extra stuff, crates and barrels and whatnot. So I've taken some crates from our 1/48 scale Apple truck, and we're going to actually put a bit of cargo on our Sherman here. And I know the crates don't typically come with the Sherman, but if you order the Sherman on the website, just shoot me an email or put in your order notes that you'd like a few crates with it, and I'll throw them in so you can reproduce this tank at no extra cost. So now that we've got the tank painted, and we're going to add our crates to the back to kind of give this a really, really custom look. So this is sort of going a little bit above and beyond what we had sort of originally planned, but so anyhow, I have 3 crates here from our Apple truck model, and what I've done is just painted those flat brown for now. That's just going to give us sort of a base coat to start with. And of course, on a tank, you would need somewhere to hold the crates down, so you'd have to, like any vehicle, find somewhere to attach some rope or some sort of tie down. So what we're going to do on the M4 Sherman, there was a loop here, a metal loop, approximately there, and that could be used to tie things down, as well as there was a little guard around the back lights. Again, we don't put that in our model. If you want to add some more details like that, that is really up to you, and that's why we like to provide a very affordable kit so that you can add those details and you can have a bit of fun, and you're not afraid to take your Dremel tool to your tank because you only paid $20 for it, not $100+ like a lot of model kits. So that being said, I'm going to take my rotary tool here, and I'm going to drill 2 small holes here. And I'm going to take this piece of just some random Christmas ornament hanging wire I found around the house, and I'm just going to take these side cutters and just bend it into a loop and put it in. Alright, so as you can see, I've installed these little loops in the back of the Sherman. Now I'm just going to sort of paint them to match the body color. And then what we're going to do is take these apple crates that we've already pre-painted brown, and we're just going to arrange them on the back, whatever looks cool. So I might do sort of 2 on the bottom, 1 stacked in the middle kind of situation, something like that. And of course we're going to glue those crates down because it's not going to be the rope we're putting on that's going to hold them, it's going to be the glue. So go ahead and do that. Alright, now sort of for the final step here in our little detailing project with the crates, we have our little loops in place here on the tank, we have our crates glued down, and now we're just going to attach some string to sort of simulate rope that might have been used to hold these things down. And again, I just have a very, probably can't even see it, it's pretty thin, just a regular old string from somewhere around the house. So we're going to go ahead, and you can use any sort of glue for this. You can use white glue, super glue. I'm going to go ahead and use this this all-purpose glue here that I bought off Amazon, I believe. So again, it's like a couple bucks for a thing. So okay, so we're just going to tie these crates down. Alright, so we've now got our wintertime M4 Sherman to the almost completed phase. We have the things on the back here, the crates all roped down. We have the whitewash on. So we're going to do a couple last things here. First off, we're going to put a little bit of a black wash on these ropes that we've put on here for 2 reasons. One, it'll make it a little more realistic looking, and 2, the little bit of black paint will actually help to just sort of solidify the ropes, make them a little bit more rigid and just kind of stay where they are. So we're going to take some of the black craft paint and a fair bit of water and see what happens. Alright, so we are just about done. We have those ropes painted on the back, and we're going to do one last thing, and that's called dry brushing. And it's literally what it sounds like. You're going to take a paintbrush, a fairly wide one, and we're going to use white for this. We're going to put some white on the brush and then literally brush it all off so the brush feels dry, and we're just going to rub it lightly on the tracks, and that's going to help pick out some of those final details. And then our M4 Sherman and winter camouflage is going to be ready for the display shelf. So for dry brushing, we take our paint tray and put some of that white paint on your brush, and then literally wipe off as much as you possibly can. Whatever. And then if you have a piece of paper towel nearby, or even this piece of paper that the tank's sitting on, just continue to sort of get that paint off the brush, and then it's going to look somewhat like that. See it there? Oops, there we go. And once you have it, just carefully hold the tank, and just pick out some of those details on the treads. Just makes it look a little bit more worn from roads. Alright everybody, well, that was a lot of fun. I just want to thank you very much for watching this little video on painting the Marathon of History 1/48 scale M4 Sherman in a wintertime camouflage scheme, and that's going to look pretty neat on your display shelf next to your other M4 Shermans you've bought from Marathon of History. So if you'd like to have your own one of these, head over to marathonofhistory.ca, or coolhistory.ca will actually get you to the same place, and check them out in the web store. And like I said, just make a little note in your order that you'd like some crates included, and if you'd like to try this with the crates, and we'll ship them to you.